Hey guys, I hope that you are doing well today and this week. We are going to be talking about intuition. We're going to be talking about possibly connecting with spirit guides or angels, a manifestation of divinity, however that manifestation comes to you. And I wanted to actually make a video. I realized that I hadn't been actually on camera for a while now, and it's not like I'm trying to be secretive or anything. The reason for that is in these recorded channelings that I do, most of the time my eyes are closed and I'm just getting what I'm getting, and for me to set up the camera and make sure the lighting's good and stuff like that, and then deal with the editing, I feel took away from that a little bit. Just sometimes, when I'm really trying to get a clear message through, it's just better on my end. There's more clarity and less distractions whenever I can just hop on, record my voice, and let it flow. Okay, so I just wanted to speak to that for a second. There will be a guided meditation and energy session that is just addressing talking to your higher self, getting intuitions. And I know that several of you have brought this up, and I have experienced this myself. And some of you might not relate to this, which is okay. But what I'm finding is that some of us, and I've actually spoken about this before, but some of us used to rely very heavily on card readings, on trying to get answers outside of ourselves. And so I won't mention your name, but one of you reached out a few weeks ago now and said that you used to love watching love readings. And now you almost get annoyed when you watch them, and you're asking if that was okay, if you were just being weird, I think you said. And no, it's completely normal. It's completely normal, and things serve us for a period of time, and they serve us until they no longer serve us. And so it's kind of like if you learn to ride a bike, let's say, it's not that you would judge yourself for taking off the training wheels, and it's not like you'd ever go back to putting those training wheels on. And so that's kind of how it is as you progress along your journey. Something serves you for a period of time, and then you move past it, and there are certain things that you go back to, but there are certain things that you don't. So if there's something along your journey that you need to let go, or you're questioning if you should, then don't judge yourself and just allow the process to unfold naturally as it is meant to for you. And so I experienced this along my own journey too. First it was card readers, and then it was once I started really getting into cards myself, it was reading for myself. And so anytime I would have a question, I would grab my cards. And what I want to speak to today, first off, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing, absolutely nothing wrong with it. Card readers give amazing guidance. But what I want to speak to today is taking a step away, just for now, on searching for answers outside of yourself. Does this mean that if you are used to watching YouTube videos or card readers or reading your own cards daily, not to do that? No, it doesn't. What it means is when you have a question, I encourage you, before jumping to your cards or asking somebody else or trying to find the answers in a book or a video or a podcast, before you do any of that, ask yourself. And that's what this meditation that's attached to this lesson is going to help you do. Many of us are getting to a point where you're not going to be able to find the answers outside of yourself for much longer. You can find guidance outside of yourself, but that guidance is only going to spark something within you. We're getting to a point where we are trusting ourselves more, where we are understanding that although we are part of this one collective, that our path is going to most easily unfold once we learn to listen to ourselves and not compare ourselves against anybody else. And so this week, we are really preparing for the next several lessons where we're going to be talking about vibration, and we're going to be talking about like manifestation and law of attraction kind of stuff. But I hesitate to even use those words because it's beyond that. It's beyond what we typically think of like law of attraction sort of stuff to be. And this week, we're getting prepared to jump into that. So I want to speak a little bit to that before we go into the intuitive piece and the guides and whatnot. The law of attraction is a universal law, but there's many other universal laws. It's not the only one. It's just the coolest one. So people love to learn about it. They love it. It makes you feel very empowered to know that you do have control over your energy. And then once you have control over your energy, then you have control over different things that you attract into your life. But the law of attraction, whenever somebody becomes interested in the law of attraction, typically, and this is for my journey as well, and many other people that I see, you start with the law of attraction on materialistic needs. Like, oh my gosh, I can manifest like a nice car, cool. Like all I have to do is put on my vision board, that's awesome. And so we start with that, and that's just kind of like a teaser that gets us into, that's a teaser that gets some people into a deeper level. Not all. Some people stay on that level, but everybody in this group, we're going deep into our Dharma, into the lessons that we came here to learn. And so, the law of attraction, when we're at this name of the game, in this level of the game, works a little differently. Because it is going to work when what you desire is in alignment with your soul's purpose, with your soul's calling. And I'll give you an example from my own life. My first business, let me take a sip of tea real quick. My first business, I don't know if I remember if I told you guys this or not, but before I started getting into any of the spiritual piece, I was going to open up a dog boutique, and I was just becoming familiar with entrepreneurial things, lessons and business, and it was really stressful, and that's how I got into self-help. With self-help, of course, like you go down the rabbit hole, and it led to this whole spiritual path that I was meant to be on in the first place. And so with this dog business, this is whenever I first learned about the law of attraction, and I was just like, oh, it's so easy. Like, you know, everybody says like all I had to do is like visualize and write these things down, and like we got this. And it didn't work out for me that way, and it did not work out for me that way because that was not my path. I had a lot at that time of karma to work out. I had a lot of lessons to learn. I was not prepared for what I wanted to call in. And so once I aligned with my true calling, then I was able to manifest effortlessly. And it's weird. And it's kind of scary because I'm like, now I'm like, think good thoughts, like all the time. Don't manifest things you don't want, you know? And I'm not saying that I have like everything, like I still am in this process with you guys. So these next few lessons, I'm like really excited to go through this process with all of you. But what I am saying is once you like find what your next step is, then things click and you're able to utilize the law of attraction or the manifesting skills more effortlessly because it's where you're going anyway. Now, what you are going to be drawn to is going to be part of your purpose as long as what you are drawn to is not coming from your ego. So our ego is the one that says, I need this to feel loved. I need this to feel worthy. I need this to feel good. That's your ego. When we connect with our true heart's purpose, with our life's calling, then there's more of a, this just feels right. And you can relate this to your twin flame journey. And I know, I'm pretty sure all of you know and you have expressed that feeling. This just feels right. There's shit that goes on that drives me nuts, that frustrates me, that makes me want to cry or makes me want to scream. But there's a piece of it that just feels right. So that's your soul's calling. Now, because the twin flame journey is filled with all these lessons, our ego attaches belief systems to it. Our ego attaches attachment to it. And it manifests in frustration. It manifests in this like need for things to work out a particular way. So what we are trying to do with your twin flame journey is separate your soul's calling, your true calling, your intuitive true self from the ego attachment that you built up around things because we're human. And that's part of our journey, is to differentiate between what is ego and what is true to who we are and where we're going. And so that's why before we get into any of these next steps, I wanted to give you this meditation that allows you to connect in with yourself, your intuition, and get an answer. So the meditation, you ask a question and it opens up space and I flow energy for you to get some answers. And let me just give you a forewarning. A lot of times the answers are not going to be what you think they're going to be. And that's not meant to sound scary. That's meant to almost give you a little disclaimer so that you don't doubt what you get, if that makes sense. So I will tell you a very interesting story about how I got this intuition. And I got this intuition several weeks ago. There is an island in Florida called Amelia Island. Some of you might be familiar with it. So I live in Charlotte. So Amelia Island is like I stop a lot. It should be like a 6-hour drive. It's more like a 7-hour drive. Anyway, it's not that far. It's drivable. So I get this intuition to find this turtle in Amelia Island. I'm like, okay, that's a really freaking weird question, or really weird intuition. That doesn't make sense. But I followed it. And so I went to Amelia Island and I got answers from, I found this turtle. I went with my twin flame. Actually, immediately after I got up from that meditation, I emailed him. And I was like, will you go to Amelia Island with me? Because I knew if I did not put it out there immediately that I would doubt it and it would never happen. So I woke up from that, or came out of that meditation, emailed him, and he's just used to me being crazy. So he's just like, okay. So then we had that set in stone. And even before going, I was like, no, we'll probably just go and hang out and shop and I kind of my ego part got to me. But anyway, so we go to Amelia Island. I find this turtle. He found the turtle actually. He's like, oh wow, look at all those turtles over there. And this turtle came, once we saw this group of turtles, this one turtle came swimming up to me and just stared at me. And I just stared back. And it was giving me these downloads, and this sounds crazy, and I probably wouldn't tell most people this, but I know you guys get it. And so I won't really go into what I got from the turtle because that's sacred, and I am still processing this to this day, okay? So that intuition, I thought, when I woke up from that meditation, I'm like, okay, cool, I'm going to find this turtle. This turtle is going to be this is what you need to do, A, B, C, D. Or it's going to lead me to meeting somebody who's going to change my life and all this kind of stuff. So I went and I saw this turtle, and I definitely got some like helpful intuitions, but it was not as like cut and dry as I thought it was going to be. Like, okay, well, cool. Like I got some stuff, and it was a nice little trip, and all this kind of stuff. And so I do energy healing, and I did it for where I went to school for a while, and then I had to break off from them for different reasons. And then I would give Reiki, obviously distance, energy healing, but I would go to different places, and I would do workshops at different places, but I never had a home, an office space and I just like, I kept having it in the back of my mind, like I really want to have this home where I can do in-person work, and I love the distance work because I can meet people from all over the world, like I've met all of you, but there's something that I need to do that's in person, and I need a home. But nothing, like I didn't look for office spaces, like something just blocked me the whole way. Okay, so that's a backstory. This is all going to come to a close very shortly. I'll make sure to talk a little quicker. So anyway, I was scheduled to do this workshop on the weekend that I went to find this turtle. And I emailed the lady, the woman who owns this studio. And I was like, I can't do it. I can't do the workshop. Can we please postpone it? And in my head, I was like, we might cut ties. We might like, you know, my ego, my fear kicks in, like, this is stupid, but I was like, no, we have to go this weekend. We have to go this weekend to find this turtle, and I can't do this workshop. And she didn't respond, and of course, like, I have this, like, fear in me, but then, for time, she was like, and then I shifted from fear to love, and just sent love for the highest and best good, and then she ended up responding, and said, well, no, actually, that does work better for me, too. Let's change it. Okay, so that was easy. So then the following weekend, I go and I do this workshop. And I stay after, and she owns a yoga studio, and I stay after to just kind of talk a bit and just like shooting the shit. Out of nowhere, like just the way that our conversation went, she was like, I have a space. I used to have a massage therapist here. I have a space. Would you like to do Reiki? And not only that, but, you know, until we really get established in this space and you're having clients come in on a regular basis, she's like, just give me Reiki for the rent. And I was just like, oh my God, that literally just fell into my lap. And I believe, I know that if I had done that workshop the weekend before, the stars wouldn't have aligned for whatever reason, and we would not have had that conversation. So the turtle, following that intuition, was twofold. First, I got some downloads from this turtle. And second, I needed to cancel and reschedule so that divine timing could do its thing, and that could fall into my lap. And so that is what I speak of whenever I say, once you get an answer, trust the answer, because we want to go from point A to point Z, but what we get often is from A to B, or maybe even like A to F sometimes, you know, like we might take like a bigger leap, but it's all stages along the journey that we're either going to learn something that we need to learn. It's, some of it, honestly, I believe it's kind of like the universe knows we want to keep doing something. And so it's like, okay, we're going to send you over here for a little bit and allow you to work out some of this karma because divine timing isn't ready for this. Like, I know you want this now, and I know you need to feel like you're doing something. So we're going to, it's like, kind of like whenever a kid is really little and they're you're trying to get things done, and you don't have time to play with them right now, and so you're like, oh, go do this for a little bit, and you give them a task, and then they go and do the task, and by the time they're done doing the task, then they come back and you have some time freed up, and you can, like, you know, go take them to the park or something like that. It's kind of like the same thing. That's how the universe is with us. Like, we're like the little kids that are like, I want to do this now, mommy, I want to do this now, and the universe is like, it's not time yet. Like, there's some stuff that needs to work out, so like, go over there and color in your coloring book for a little bit, you know, learn some lessons, work out some karma. While you're doing that, we're arranging everything, and then we're going to come back when the timing is right. So I know that's so hard for us to do, but I just hope I share my long-winded story with you to say, like, it works out when the timing is right, and sometimes our intuitions and our guidance is not what we think they're going to be, but if they're coming when you are in a high vibrational place, when you are not feeling fear, when you are just feeling light and just joy and happiness, and you get intuitions in that state, those intuitions are leading you somewhere. Just don't try and predict where, because then you mess it up. Then you get your ego and your fear and you just block it. So just as much as you can, trust. So yeah, I want to talk a little bit more about how to tune in with our intuition. Then we'll get into guides, and then that'll pretty much be it. And the magic really lies in the energy session that is paired with this. So I believe that I've stated this before, either here or in some of my other videos, but whenever we have a question and we want to ask our intuition, what often happens, I think I might have mentioned this last week in preparation for this. What often happens is our ego will answer. So we'll say, what should I do about my twin flame relationship? And then our ego is going to come and tell you all of the answers that it thinks are best. And our ego is often based in fear, and it's always based in the past. So our ego is never going to give us the answers that are leading to our next steps. Our ego will only give us the answers that repeat karmic cycles. Did you ever have a situation, this actually happened to me over the weekend, where you are so, like, you just want to say something, you just want to do something, and you get that little voice in your head that says, don't do it. But then the other one is like so powerful. That's your ego versus your intuition. And what happens is we give in to our ego. We listen to our ego. We act based on our ego. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing bad about that. Don't be hard on yourself when you do that, but just know that you'll have to repeat that lesson again until you learn to listen to your intuition and you kind of transcend that ego around that particular topic. So I had this experience over the weekend. I used to have a really bad temper, and I live in lofts, and we're having things with parking, and that's not really fair anyway. I'm not going to go into it because it's not worth the energy, but I had a situation where I was pissed, and there was a decision that I could make. One was to go to the leasing office and express how I thought this was stupid or not, and know that we come from this oneness, and do it from a more centered place, like get centered and then have a conversation. But I didn't listen to that intuition, and I went there and nothing got solved. And it's not like I did anything crazy, like screamed or threw things, but I went in a vibration that I knew I should not have been in. I went in a more ego vibration rather than a higher vibration. And so after that, it's like I got this little voice saying, like, I told you that wasn't going to pan out. And I just knew I would have to, in the future, I'm going to be faced with something similar, then I'm going to have that choice, because it's just a lesson that I need to learn to make sure that any time something frustrating happens, that I get into a higher vibrational place before reacting, so then I'm able to respond rather than react. And so that's just a piece of my karma that I'm still working through. And so when you think about it, you might be able to think of situations off the top of your head, or they might arise where you're just working through old patterns, where you have listened to your ego time and time and time and time again, that it shouts so much louder than your intuition. But whenever we ask a question, back to my original topic about listening to your intuition, whenever we ask a question, typically the first energy that answers is your ego. And you're going to be able to tell, because it's always going to be based in, remember what happened last time. Like the fear, and it's like almost like an urgency. And you have to allow that to play out, and then see what's underneath. And that's where your intuition lies. So that's something that you can do throughout your days this week, and just ask questions and see. And I forget where this quote comes from, but it says, God's one and only voice is silence. And so you might not get an answer immediately, but you put the intention out there, and by not feeding into the ego lower vibration energy, then you open yourself up to get answers in a variety of ways. So just practice that this week as you are also doing this meditation. Now, the last piece I want to talk about quickly is guides and angels and all this, like the higher self and like these beings that are around us that are helping us, okay? You will hear a lot of readers and intuitives say, okay, my guides are telling me, they're telling me, spirit is telling me, like they're getting either images or thoughts, or they're hearing something from a being not of this world. And what I want to speak to when it comes to connecting with any other high vibrational being, number one, it's all God or source. It's all one, and it's just the same as you. That's all. So I am getting this information from Dolores Cannon, who I mentioned before. She's a hypnotherapist who did research going into people's past lives and then eventually contacting their higher selves. And she said that we all are given at least one guide or guardian angel whenever we are born. But some of us have more, and some of us have different ones depending on the stage of the journey that we are getting to. So if you ever follow anything about archangels, they'll say, when you're working with a heart chakra, call on Archangel Raphael. When you want to be grounded and secure and strong, you call on Archangel Michael. It's all divinity. It's all source. It's just different aspects of that divinity. Just like you are an expression of divinity. Your twin flame is an expression of divinity. Your pets are an expression of divinity, expressing in different manners. Somebody that drives you nuts is still an expression of divinity. It's just expressing in different ways, but that's all part of this one whole. So guides, angels, your higher self, talking directly to source or spirit, ascended masters, like it's all one energy at the end of the day. It's all one energy. And anytime I do an energy healing session, all I am doing is channeling that through me into you or your circumstance. It's available to you at all times. The answers are available to you at all times. Your guides, your angels are with you at all times. So if you want to know like who your guide is, or if you align with a certain angel, or if you have an archangel, then during the meditation you'll have a chance to get those answers. But it honestly doesn't matter because it's all source. They're just an expression of source that is able to help you where you are on your soul's journey at this moment. And so there's no way that you can really talk about your experience when it comes to your higher self, your intuition, working with guides or angels, whatever that is. There's no way that you can even express that to another person really and have them fully understand. It's a personal experience. It's a sacred experience. And so I encourage you to treat it as such and get all like the human stuff just out of the way. So like as humans, we want to know the answers. We want things to be more complicated than they are. It's so simple. It's so simple. It's all one. We're all one. We're a collective consciousness. It's a collective energy. It's source. That's what it is. The information is always there for you. It's just about tuning into it. And the only way that you tune into it is through practice, is through practicing tuning into your intuition and not feeding into the ego, is by being mindful and aware to notice where different things are coming from. You know, if a thought is coming from an old pain, or if it is coming from a deeper knowing, or possibly your guides or spirit trying to talk to you. It's about focus, like we talked about last week, being able to focus time and time and time again on where you're going, on who you truly are, and allowing all the other junk to just pass. That's all it is. It's simple, simple concepts. What we do as teachers, as humans, is we try and develop these crazy techniques. We want to know the best technique to do this, to connect, to heal, to be in union with our twin flame. We want to know the best technique. But there is no best technique. There's something that works for you on this stage of the journey, that gives you what you need on this stage of the journey. And it's all so simple. It's just about the repetition. It's about the focus. It's about the effort. It's about letting go of attachments to exactly how your ego and desires think things should play out. It's about just being and understanding that at our core, we're all part of God, of Source. And just being in that love and that light. These are simple, simple concepts, but they're not easy, and so we try to overcomplicate them because we think there is something out there that should be easy. But it can be. It can be if you let go of your beliefs, if you let go of these attachments, these old wounds, if you listen to your intuition every single time, no matter how loud your ego's shouting. But many times it's not. Many times it takes work. Because it is so simple. If something is super, super complicated, it's just being overcomplicated for no reason, to try and appeal to a piece of our human brains that wants something to be complicated. Even in quantum physics, the deeper they understand quantum physics, the more simple it actually becomes. And so that's what I just wanted to bring that up quickly, because I don't want you to get stuck in any one piece of it, get stuck in thinking you're doing it wrong, or why don't you know your guides, or other people can talk to their higher selves or be intuitive. Why can't you? You can. It's just about finding something that works for you during this time and continuing to feed into your intuition and do things that you know make you feel good. Because once you feel good, you raise your vibration. Once you raise your vibration, you are more open and aligned with higher vibrational energies, higher vibrational beings, with your higher self, with Source. It's not that you're ever not aligned with it. It's just that we block ourselves off. We believe that we're blocked off. It's all belief in the long run. So all you are doing, there's no process. There's nothing you can do wrong. All you're doing is just raising your vibration, focusing on what makes you feel good so that you can align and you can get the answers and your next steps. And in the long run, you're going to get them anyway. It's just how many times you want to learn the lesson over and over and over again until you allow yourself just to align. How many times you'll feed into the old karma, the old energy patterns, until you don't. So even if you feel like you get it wrong one time, you're always getting another chance to get it right the next time. It's never like, well, you failed that, good luck. No, you always get as many chances as you need to progress, to transcend, to ascend. Okay, so just quickly recap this week. I encourage you to listen to the meditation with the question that you have in mind. And I encourage you to, this week, try to do something that makes you feel good. Notice the thoughts and the feelings that you get while you're in that state. And just practice, like when you're walking down the street, asking yourself some questions that you want to know the answer to and seeing if you can distinguish between the ego and waiting. And keeping your focus and keeping your awareness and waiting for the true guidance to come through. Okay, I'm sending you so much love and light, and I'm very excited for what is to come up next. Enjoy the meditation. Oh, P.S. Listen through it to it through headphones because it is paired with binaural beats, so it will help your brain waves get to a state of higher consciousness just quicker if you listen through headphones. But don't listen if you have a seizure disorder or if you could be pregnant. Okay, I'll talk with you next week.